Even countries that are highly corrupt, there are aspects of their system that cannot be compromised. You know, I was thinking of something a couple of days ago, and I said to myself, a criminal goes to court. He's sentenced to death by hanging. And as he's sentenced to death by hanging, the president or the governor has to sign for the person to finally be executed. That is why you have some people in different prisons who are already condemned to die, condemned to death. I mean, their matter have been, judgment have been delivered. But they are there for 10, 15 years because the governor has not signed. The president has not signed. Now, the president or governor of a country has the power to grant pardon. Yes, the governor, the president has the power to grant pardon. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. Systems are powerful. After prayers, after fasting, you have a system to confront. You have a system to deal with. Now, some of this system depends on the area of your business. You can't just wake up and say, okay, I have money. I want to build certain businesses. You have to find out what are the requirements for those businesses to strive. If you do not know how these things work, I know a hotel in Abuja. This hotel, they were not doing well, but they went into an agreement with an international brand. Immediately that agreement was signed, you go there, suddenly there is no enough rooms. Why? A system has come to take over that brand. And their profit shot up. Everything went up. Why? A system has come in. So, ladies and gentlemen, why prayer is good, why fasting is key, why all these things are good, you also need to know that dealing with the system is another most critical part, because a lot of Christians don't have the discipline, the patience to go through the system. Some of this system can take you as much as 2 or 3 years. Some of them are rigorous. There are some sectors in our economy. For you to bid for a contract and win a contract can take you as much as 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It's a process. Because many times, some of these systems, if you do not know how they work, they can be frustrating. They can be very, very tedious. The requirements are enormous. That if you are not careful, you may not have the patience and discipline to stay through to the end. And without, meeting the requirement of that system, you will not be able to break through in that system. So there are a few steps here that we are going to look at. We have looked at the law. It was not the king that threw Daniel into the lion's den. It was system. It was not the king that just said, okay, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. It was a law. The first law is that you must bow to the golden image. And when the people of God refused to bow, the system, the laws, had to throw them into those fire and the lion's den. Because I play a predominant role in the marketplace, I can tell you that prayer and fasting, we are dealing with a well-structured system. The business world is full of system. The business world is full of structures. If you come to the finance system, there are structures. If you come to the energy system, there are structures. You come to the aviation system. Oh, you want to go into aviation. Buying an aircraft is not enough. There are long procedures before that aircraft can be allowed to fly, not just to fly, but to get involved in commercial activities. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, if you must break through in the financial world, you must understand system. You must know how system work. You must think system. I need to know where you are calling from. If you have any question that bothers your mind on some of this system, you let me know. There are some people who have fantastic products. There are some researches that have been done. For instance, I don't have the authority to say categorically, but there is a breakthrough right now in the area of cancer. I think in Russia, I don't have that statistics, and another country, some major breakthrough had happened in the area of cancer treatment. But why is it not in the public? They have to go through World Health Organization structure system. You need to get certain certification. Those discoveries have to be subjected to scientific scrutiny. It has to be looked at. There are various stages of committees. There are various stages that it has to go through. And after that, before a categorical statement can be done, that is also where corruption comes in. Now, I want you to understand that every system is controlled by a cartel. The easiest way to frustrate a business is to use that system against the business. In Nigeria, for instance, until you have a NAFDAC certification number, your product is not recognized, not in terms of authenticity, in terms of government backing through the NAFDAC. So what it means, there are stages those products have to go through before these regulatory agencies will come out and make a statement and say, okay, the public can patronize you. And don't forget that this system are being controlled by people. So if the people who control this system are not Christians, if they are put in there by interest and structure, so it's the instruction of the people who put them there that they are going to follow. That is why, we must understand that we are the salt of the earth, not the church. We are the light of the world, not the church. We must begin deliberate step to begin to position our people to take over some of these spheres. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So as a Christian, we need to understand that the church is a recharge center. The church is a refueling center. The church is a preparation center. The main work is not the church. The main work is the field. Because we need godly people to take over these systems. We need people of God, people that fear God, people that know God, to take over some of these systems, some of these structures, so that we can use it to advance the cause of the kingdom. There are many people with powerful scientific research results, powerful discoveries. But if the system does not permit you, those things cannot be visible. So while you are praying, you need to also understand that the hearts of kings are in the hands of the Lord. The system must be committed into prayer. Now, when you understand system, it will affect the kind of prayer you pray. There are some signatures you need to move your destiny to the next level. There are certain approvals you need to move your destinies to the next level. Unfortunately, quite a number of believers do not understand how powerful systems are. Anything you want to become in life has to do with system. Anything you want to become has to do with system. Oh, you want to go into politics? The law says, as of today in Nigeria, there is no individual candidacy. The law says that you must belong to a political party. You must be part of a political party. You must be part of a political structure. If you say, okay, you can fix Nigeria, you have what it takes to fix Nigeria, and you are not identified, you have not identified with the political structure, you can't win election. Now, to register a political party, there are requirements from INEC. You can't just wake up and say Progressive People's Party. Beautiful name. But for that name to be eligible to contest and win an election, the system will tell you what is required of the system. Board of Trustees, your constitution, your bylaws, your laws, what the party represents, your manifesto, and a whole lot of things. All the requirements must be in place before INEC can register you as a political party. Now, can I ask you a question? Who controls INEC? INEC is supposed to be an independent body, but listen, there is no system that is not controlled by someone. So as a Christian, if I'm going into politics, I'm going into election, it's not just enough to know how to pray and fast. It's to know what to pray and fast about. It's to know what to talk to God about. Because if you understand how system works, it will help us. And I'll tell you what I've discovered from my few years of work with God. Many people in the church are not prospering. Why? They don't have patience to go through the rigors of system. They don't have the patience. You know, people ask me, how do you do some of the things you do? I understand how it works, and I'm willing to pay the price of putting systems in place. I want to own a financial institution. I need system. I can't just wake up and say, Righteous People's Bank. If it's not backed by law, it's not recognized. So it's not the beauty of a name or the coloration of the building. It's if it's recognized by law. There are all kinds of law put in place. All kinds of laws, all kinds of regulatory agencies put in place. Is there any way I can travel out of Nigeria without a passport? I have to submit myself to immigration. They will ask me questions. They will ask me for certain documentation before they will not give me their passport and tell me, okay, now take this passport. Now, the moment I have the passport, what happens? I'm now eligible. Getting the passport is not even enough. And that, okay, what country do I want to go? I have to now approach Germany. I have now to approach America. Now, when I approach America, Germany, and any country I want to go, another second level of system, another second level of requirements. So at every stage, at every level, you are required to do something. Some of these cannot be altered. You need requirement. As a child of God, I want you to start thinking system. You must understand that for money to be made, for progress to be established, I am confronting system. Now, when we look at some of this system, we just say, okay, this system has a managing director. This system have this or have that. Now, listen. Behind every system, whether in Nigeria or diaspora, somebody somewhere is in control. Most times, the people who control these systems are not visible. Their names are not in any book. But whatever they say is final. Whatever they say is final. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you must succeed in business, you must start thinking system. if you must succeed in business, you must start thinking statutory system. If you even win an election, the system says you must take oath of an office before you can resume in that office. These are systems. I pray to God that some of you watching me, that understanding will come so that you can understand how deep some of these things I'm teaching are. Because some of us understand prayer, we know how to pray, but we do not know how to confront and deal with systems. Systems are so powerful that you need to understand how they function. You know, one time I was having a teaching like this, and somebody asked me, as a child of God, do you need to give bribe? The answer is no. As a child of God, you cannot be part of corruption. But if everything is in place, all your paperwork and everything is in place, there is what I call alignment. Get these truths. Get these truths. If you are into contracts, you do business with institutions and organizations, nobody in Nigeria will give you a $10 million contract without alignment. In America, there are people they call lobbyists. If you need anything done, it's a career. You go and meet them. They go and lobby. You pay them. They lobby. There is nothing that has to do with finance, except you want to deceive yourself where there are no interests. Oh, Pastor, I have fasted, I prayed. Roboko setebra. God heard you. That's why Jesus said, give to Caesar. There are major businesses going on in this country today. Without alignment, nobody's going to talk to you. So alignment doesn't mean you are giving bribe. Somebody gives you a contract. You can appreciate people on their birthdays, on their weddings. I mean, special days in their life. Your physical presence will be required. All kinds of things. You just need to know how these things work. Alignment is wisdom. When Jesus was confronted for tax, he had to pay. He had to cooperate with the system. He said, lest we should offend them. He said, go and get the money, pay for yourself, and pay for me. So Christians must understand that every sector that I have choose to make money, there are systems that control such field. Please, I'd like you to send your questions now. Let's look at it. Andrew said, what are the areas you need to look at when creating a system? You are talking of your internal system. I'm not talking about your internal system. I'm talking about system that is beyond your own company. Systems out there that you need to deal with. In Nigeria, I have mentioned Central Bank. Anything that has to do with approvals, anything that has to do with finance, is being controlled by the Central Bank of Nigeria. You come to the oil and gas sector, you have downstream, you have upstream. Each of them have their regulatory agencies. They tell you when your license expires, what it takes to renew, all kinds of statutory provisions. These are systems. If you have somebody in that system who do not want you, nothing can happen. the system can be used against you. So you need to understand how the system works. That's my message. You need to, as a matter of fact, understand how the system works. In mining, there are laws. I want to go into export. There are laws. There are systems. In fact, I was telling somebody a few days ago, one of the ways to open up an economy is to make business environment easy. At a time in past, a lot of multinationals left Nigeria, not because Nigeria is one of the best business destinations. But we need enabling laws. Enabling laws. Most international business are transacted in dollars. Most airlines could not repatriate their funds to their country. They have billions in naira, but could not convert it to dollars, which is a challenge. So system has to be put in place. There are systems in the world that closes up the economy, and there are others who opens it. If you have a transaction in China, how do you send money to China? I am Mercy from Abuja. You talked about appreciation. This is complicated for me. I was queried by my boss because a client appreciated me and they said I have taken bribe. Now, this is a very technical question. Appreciation is not to alter the system. Appreciation is not to change the books. When you do that, you are trying to compromise the system. But I tell you the truth, the hard truth. Every document you see in every organization, whoever needs to treat that document can be against or for you. What I'm saying is that it is not wrong to appreciate people that you need favor from. Whether it's done openly or privately, it's going on all over the world. When a president leaves his country, he's coming to see our president. They don't leave empty-handed. When the Queen of Sheba came to see Solomon, she brought gifts. She brought things. She loaded herself and brought present. When Jesus was born, in Matthew chapter 2, the wise men came. They brought frankincense, they brought gold, they brought myrrh and presented to the king. So some of these things are scriptural. You need to build a relationship where there can be alignment. That's the truth. Somebody in the system can mess you up just by a signature. A recommendation can send you out of business completely. A bad recommendation can send you out of business completely. So, Mercy, I don't think you are not altering the books, you are not altering the system, but I tell you, in America, you are sending a bill in different parts of the world, you want to promote your cause, you have to build relationship with the people that will do the work. Eric Soap from Canada. How can we build some of the business system to strive more in business? I just hope that my today message is understood. Because I'm not talking about building your own system in your business. I am dealing with system that regulate your business. The system that you need to, for instance, people travel. Eric, you are from Canada. The first time you arrived Canada, you needed to get your documentation. You don't just drop in Canada or US or UK and become a citizen. There are requirements. That system is what I'm talking about. That system is what I'm talking about. I have said this here before. MKO Abiola won election 1993. The whole world agreed that it was fair, credible. He didn't become president. The system went against him. He never became president. Nelson Mandela for 27 years was in prison in South Africa. Who put him in? Kenny, VPR from Zambia. Good topic, sir. If you have put all things together and you know the system, what advantage does a believer have, knowing well that this system are run by non-believers? Kindly explain a little bit. You see, if you get my message very well, I love this question from Kenny from Zambia. He said, if I have everything together, my paper works, this is where prayer becomes potent. Because in terms of statutory requirements, you have all the documents. You have all the paperwork. For instance, if you want to bid for a contract, you need 3 years tax clearance. If it's in the oil and gas sector, you need local content documentation. You need a whole lot of paperwork that sometimes if you see the requirement, if you don't have it, you can't skate through. And it's so much that some of these things are automated. You don't even have anybody to interact with apart from machines. So at every stage, you just click, you pass through, you click, you pass through. If you want to bid for an oil and gas bid round right now, if you don't pass the first stage, the computer will not open. The next phase will not open. Now, there are places you have to pay money. As you log in your evidence of payment and put in, the next one open. You pay again, the next one open. There is no prayer that will change this. No prayer. So while we are praying in church, if I have all my documentation, this is where you fire prayer. Oh Lord, as my papers go, as my documents go, let the right person touch it. Let the right recommendation come. After you have done all these things, then you start putting in prayer. Now, if you are praying without the requirements and documents, you are just like one that beats the air. So let's understand how these things work. Let's understand how it works. The system is powerful. There are businesses that may never be approved until the Federal Executive Council gives approval. You need to know different levels of approval in your country. You need to know this statutory system that have to approve what needs to be approved. How can someone get connected to a powerful system in government to access contract opportunities? Do I need to join politics to gain access? You don't need to join politics necessarily to gain access. Number one, be good at what you do. Because most time, I have said this before, one of the things that will sell you is the job that you have done. There's no better recommendation like somebody who have tested your product. Somebody who have done a work for you. Somebody you have done work for. The moment people test your product and it's good, they will definitely recommend you. So first, be good at what you do. Then number two, build your social capital. Start connecting with people. There is no agenda of God that can happen on earth without a human agent. I repeat, there is no agenda of God that can happen on earth without a human agent. So, as you are now, if you go to your office tomorrow and you see a red tape on it that says seal, you can't just take your hand away and just remove it. You go to jail. On you in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Thank you, everlasting Father. In Jesus' precious name. Shalom.